Welcome to Conversations with Your Higher Self. Today we have Anne Cox, and Anne is a channel for the Christ consciousness, Holy Spirit, the Seraphim, and so much more. Hello, Anne. So great to have you here today. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. As we're coming into this, I record these a little bit in advance, and it is the lunar eclipse has just passed today, and we are feeling it. And this will air next week, right before Thanksgiving. And I'm sure we'll be feeling something then too. So, what have you been picking up on, Anne, in any of your channels that you could share with us that's coming up for the next couple weeks, next month, what have you?
Well, I think that it's important to address anyone who is watching this who's not familiar with processing these intense energies that are coming through. Um, Sometimes we don't realize that the intensity of the solar energies, along with the heightened vibrations of the earth, are having an impact on us as humans. So I think we should probably discuss that a little bit, because people don't realize in the energetic influxes of full moons and eclipses and solstices all amplify the power of these light rays. And depending on how much presence you have to devote to stillness and what you're intaking as far as water and the foods you're eating, all have an impact and how you can integrate and process the energies. Um, I devote myself somewhere between 1 hour to 3 hours a day in stillness. When I first began the journey, it wasn't that lengthy, but sometimes I just have to go quiet just so I'm not even really thinking anything. I'm just basically in quantum processing energy. So if your viewers watching need assistance with that, I'd be happy to assist. And we can talk about a few ways of doing the processing. One thing that I had an amazing teacher that taught me to listen to the frequency in my ear. A lot of people just awakening think they have tinnitus or something's wrong because they're hearing something in their ear. It sometimes sounds very metallic. I always associate it with like a dog whistle. You know how the dogs can hear and we can't hear. But it's a measure of your own vibration and frequency, what is coming through at the time based on where you are in the world, whatever energetic environment you're in, how balanced you are emotionally in your life. I think balance is another way to be present with processing the energies. Being at peace and just accepting that we're here for a purpose. And even if you didn't know it, guess what? I'm telling you today, you agreed to come here and you're here for a purpose. And the sooner that you accept things as they are without trying to change anything, the resistance can be released and you can become more aware of what's happening around you. It's very important to ground into the earth. If you haven't heard of grounding, that can be as easy as going to the beach, taking your shoes off, and just really connecting with the energy of the earth. If you don't have access to a beach, you can take a bath in Epsom salts. You can just go outside in your garden and literally get your hands dirty and connect with the mother. I've had times that I've been in excruciating pain and nothing would get rid of it. And I would just go and literally lay face down on the earth. And it was the only thing that alleviated the pain. A lot of people believe that pain in our bodies is energy that's not in alignment with our divinity and what is organic to our nature. So the earth can help you release those energies that aren't supporting you. It's a new way of thinking if you're just stepping into this world, that everything we need has really already been provided for us. It's just having the awareness to recognize. A lot of this has to do with disconnecting from things that aren't organic in nature. So I stopped watching television on a regular basis over 7 years ago. Now I am a flight attendant, so I am out in the world, but I'm very selective about what I take in, and most anything, especially what I'm watching, but what I'm reading, where I go. Like I probably would be very selective about going out to a concert or something like that. Now, what I have to do for work is something different because I look at that as a service. But if I'm in free time, I want to do things that are bringing me peace and feeding my soul. So those are just a few things that I can think of right now.
And we should touch on breathing too, because that's a biggie that I never really paid any attention to, was just breathing deep. I mean, so many people don't even take a deep breath all day long.
Exactly. I didn't even think to bring that through because it seems like such a part of us, right? But breath is the number one way to connect with your soul and to find peace within yourself. So people that, are hyperventilating or experiencing shortness of breath, to me is an indicator that they're not in alignment with something. It's almost like an anxiety coming through in the breath. It's a stalling of the breath. So it is very important to be able to find the stillness, to take the time and breathe in and connect with your breath when you're feeling unease around you or inside of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now that we've gotten the foundation out there, what is coming up? What are some things that maybe somebody's going, oh, I've just been feeling weird lately, that maybe they should be attributing it to all the energies that are coming in?
Definitely. And I'm just thinking right now, as I'm having a pressure on my crown, that when we start stepping into paying attention to the energies, you will notice an electrical tingly feeling running through you. I notice pressure, like just now, I think they must have showed me that so I can bring it through on my crown chakra. Those are activations, and the plasma can press down on you. I've at times felt like I had on a full metal jacket, like literally just pressure on my being. And I'm not certain what the purpose is of that, but I know that it's activating things inside of your physical body. So you can have pressure during these times on your crown. I have it many times on my third eye. You can literally feel like your finger is in an electrical socket, like when we were little maybe and we got shocked, or remember when we used to like touch fingers with someone and you had that shock?
Yeah.
You can feel that throughout your body. Now, I don't know why I have this, but I have the ability to leave my body. My soul can leave my body. So when I'm feeling these energies that seem overwhelming, I leave my body and I connect with source energy. But you've said that you've started to feel those out of body type experiences. And I think it's just helping us to process the energies without connecting to our human selves.
Hmm.
I think it's allowing the energies to work through us without us interfering with the energetics.
Yeah, I'll feel like I'm just like a step back from my physical form and just kind of following it around and observing it. And it's just so bizarre.
It is interesting. And then I've had so many revelations, and I think we talked about it the other night at dinner, that if we totally disconnected from our emotions, not like a sociopath, but just as teachers and just as signals to where we're supposed to be without letting the energy of the emotions impact our physical body in a negative way, what a beautiful gift this life would be, because you would just be going from one experience to the next as an observer, and almost like you're watching your own movie. Sometimes I think we can get into a frequency that's a polarity. So let's go to joy and think, oh, well, I can't get out of this joy feeling, like I've got to be in this ecstasy of joy every minute. And then you're brought back to neutrality with some overcoming sadness. So when we're talking about the second coming of the Christ, or Christ consciousness, lots of people believe that Christ is coming back. But Christ is coming back through each human soul that begins to embody Christ consciousness. And Christ consciousness is a clarity of consciousness, which you can construe information without it impacting you, without bringing in any of your beliefs and programs into the experience that you're participating in. So in yoga, we learn that if you told me I was beautiful, or if you told me I was the devil, neither thing would impact me. So this goes way back into the yogic teachings from which Christ was a student. So when we can embody Christ consciousness, we don't take things personally. We don't try to change them. We are in acceptance, which is also what the Buddha taught. Acceptance and non-attachment means that whatever experience that I'm presented with, I accept it with a full heart, knowing that it's exactly what my soul needs to grow. Now, there's another component of that. If you're not conscious, you might be presented with experiences that aren't helping your soul to grow because you've been participating in creation that was creating an effect that might be karmic, and trying to balance out whatever you've been doing, like bad choices with your eating, or what you're watching, or things that you're saying to yourself or others, or what you're creating that's not in alignment with love. So as we grow into conscious beings, hopefully we're very mindful with every word, thought, and action. So then when we are presented with something that doesn't seem to be what we're in alignment with, we have the knowing that it is for purpose. That creates a whole new way of seeing things, that we aren't emotional, because we know that we're the creator of this reality that we're living in.
And conversely, I mean, we can't beat ourselves up when we can't do it, or we forget to do it too,
Not
because
at
that's why we chose to be here, was to play in this game or have this experience.
We're learning. And I saw someone else speaking, another channel, and she made perfect sense. She said the difference between a master and someone who hasn't figured out they're a master yet, I would like to say it like that, is that they know that each experience is a learning process, right? That you don't say things like, what did I do to deserve that, or whatever, because you're in full acceptance and awareness that every single thing presented to you is 100% for purpose. We realize that we're perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
Now, I have a concept that might be difficult to explain. So if you start not understanding it, chime in, because sometimes when I can see something, I think other people can. So we're energetic beings, and we are all contributing to a vibration that is on this earth plane. Now we're creating a higher intensity vibration that is more filled with divine light and love. And that's what the purpose of these energies coming through is, to streamline our energetic fields into purity. So with that, I'm emitting one note of energy, much like a musical note, as are you, and as is every single person on this planet. So what the guide showed me is I'm emitting the note at this exact moment, exactly what's required for this vibration that's contributing to this grid that we're creating a new earth. So are you. We couldn't emit that note unless we had gone through every single experience up until this moment to come to this way of toning our energy. So that means you had to go through everything, good, bad, ugly, just to be able to create the energy that we're emitting at this time. That's exactly what's required of us.
That makes complete sense. I mean, I look back on my life and I see, my biggest wake up call was the whole cancer experience and going through stage 3 cancer. And I played the victim for so long. And then one day, somebody in a seminar or something I went to just hit me right straight upside the head and said, "You're always the victim. You're not the victim. You get to choose." And I was like, what? I mean, that was a huge pivotal point for me. And it's like, and that's a hard thing to get out of. Well, I mean, I feel blessed having somebody tell me that to my face, but I mean, that's a hard one for a lot of people to get over.
Well, I think that's how we wake up, right? Because we're switching from victim to creator. And
yes,
there's so much that goes into this, because this is what we're here for, to be expressions of God. So with humility and in service, we open our hearts and surrender to what this higher power would like to achieve through us. I look at it as I am an avatar for every ancestor that has gone before me. They have chosen me to be here at this time, representing them in the fullness of creation. How can you be a victim when you stand into that? Now, I'm not saying I'm better than any other human on the planet, but the sooner that everyone realizes how powerful they are and that their ancestors have chosen them to represent, they're the emissary for your lineage right now. So step in the biggest and best way you can, with bringing every talent that you have, that you've been mastering from every moment you were conceived from light until now.
Yes. Talk about that a little bit, Anne, the whole, because, people just now coming into this realm, talk about the ancestors, why that's important. You're not just talking about your ancestors, grandfather, great grandmother, all of that. You're talking about ancestors that go way back.
Well, there's a lot of ways to explain that. So first of all, let's talk about our physical bodies, which carry the lineage of our direct ancestors in the physical, right? So lots of times we have gifts that we've never uncovered because we haven't had the opportunity to open our hearts and see what talents are literally embedded in our DNA. One way you can figure that out is through quiet time, through meditation, through praying, through times in nature. Whatever you feel excited about is probably a gift that your ancestors have embedded into your physical form that you just have not uncovered yet. And so with me on the channeling, I believe that that was a gift that was embedded into my body matrix, and I had never been given the opportunity to uncover that. I'm going to bring in the concept of sin because I believe that we're using that falsely. Sin means without. So when we're just thinking that we're human and this is what we're attached to and God is something outside of us, we are definitely in lack, right? So that's when they talk about sin and we're programmed to believe we're less than God. You know, you hear a lot of fundamental Christians saying Jesus is the only way. We're not even worthy of connecting with the energy of God. That's where we need to do the work as humans, because there's not one human on this planet that's without God. God is in your heart. If you have love in your heart, that is the energy of Creator. You don't have to do one thing to deserve that. It's your birthright. You're here to be an expression of light. So when you can acknowledge that in humility, I'm not saying you're saying, I'm a God, I'm the greatest thing.
Step aside.
When you recognize that every single living thing on this planet is a God and an expression of God, it makes your life shift in a new way because you honor every single living form placed before you. Like I had some ants in my kitchen and I just couldn't even bear to kill them because they are a life form and an expression of God, but they're finally gone now. But it's that simple. Like every flower, every morsel of food that we put in our mouths, that's why praying before we ate was indoctrinated, because we're giving praise for the abundance that's placed before us. So let's get back into the gifts that have been embedded into our physical forms. It just takes some time and patience to connect with those energies. And as Jesus in the Bible, they say he took the sins away from Mary Magdalene. I believe those were traumas and blocks that had been placed in her energetic chakra system that were keeping her from connecting to the divine. So that's what we need to do as human vessels, is figure out ways to process our traumas and our thoughts of unworthiness and things that are embedded in our DNA that could be ancestral trauma that we can address and clear. And when we do it as one human in this race, we're going back at least 7 generations, and this is science, and at least 7 generations forward. But I believe it's really more than that. If we believe that time is not linear, that simultaneously we're participating in other dimensions and lifetimes, we can really have a greater impact just by addressing our own traumas and limitations.
Wow. You said a lot there. So talk about what we can expect, like coming up here now. I mean, what you said to me earlier that you channeled some stuff on was it staying in authenticity and the real you is going to come out now.
Yes.
What
Yes.
did you
So,
get around that?
okay, so I'll read you that channel in a minute, but I'd also like to bring through the consciousness, what exactly consciousness is, right?
Okay.
So I think it's confusing, right? About what exactly consciousness is. So we're a human vessel, and our expression is a consciousness. When we start ascending in consciousness, that means more bandwidth. So when we go back to our ancestors and that we are an avatar from the ancestors, if you start realizing that they're in your consciousness, that they are with you every moment. When you lose someone that's important to you in death, they're integrated into your heart and consciousness. So it's really a huge, high honor to be walking on this earth with the consciousness of all the millions of years that have been behind us that are supporting us at this time. So that's really what I like to think about when, you're just small Alleson and small Anne, thinking that every single thing we do is represented by this consciousness of our ancestors. And the guides, when I channel, will say saints and martyrs and all that have gone before us, forging the way for this exact time that has been prophesied for millennia. And here we are, the actors representing the consciousness of these energies, helping us to make a new way.
Wow.
It's pretty overwhelming when you start putting it in perspective.
Incredibly overwhelming.
So like when we're crying because we're sad or whatever, think about what an honor it is to be able to experience this timeline.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
So I channeled this morning before I got on the call, and probably about a month ago, I received a message that the guide said not only were we moving to one heart, which we know, but that's what we mean when we're saying we're one human race, like we all are sharing the divine heart as human beings. So we know about that. That's like when you see a poor child suffering, you want to cry, right? You're connected to that energy. You can feel the suffering and the compassion of the human heart. But then they started showing me that we're now moving to one mind, which makes total sense, because as we go beyond our five senses, we're activating telepathy for one sense, right? And then all the other five clairs, clairaudience, clairsentience, every human is now activating more than their physical senses. So this they brought through on telepathy. So if things aren't in authenticity, like let's just say that you have a friend that you don't really like this is a very basic way, but you're nice to her and you tolerate her. Well, she's now going to be able to tell that you are not in authenticity with the friend. There's not one superficial thing that is going to be allowed, because everyone knows what's creating for the greater good. So it's time for you to connect with what is important to you, who is important to you, what do you wish to create, and get in alignment. Because if you don't do it now, you're going to have an experience that's going to clear it for you later that may not be exactly what you were hoping for. So this is the message that they brought through, two different messages. So I'll just read it. The emergence of a new timeline brings a clarity. We have been moving through a painful world, eliminating and alchemizing experience and aspects of ourselves that are not who we are. These personalities form over years and years, lifetimes even, of programming and pressures to fit in. You are not here to fit in. You are here to bring your unique gift of the light to this world. It is no mistake who you are, and what experience you bring to this timeline. This has been planned for centuries, eons. As your soul chose this journey, agreed to participate, think of the honor you have in representing all the ancestors that have gone before you, now represented within your unique energetic signature. Each act of yours has the potential to affect in a quantum way. There is no act without cause. Every single word, action, and thought creates. We ask that you take into consideration that you are a powerful creator. You hold the power of the divine inside your heart. It's when you realize this power that you will be infinite. We are all one. You honor the lineage of love in each kind gesture, word of affirmation, and act of love. As you embody the true nature intended, keep going, my darlings, as in the light, we will find a new way. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. That's
I know,
good.
such a beautiful message.
Yeah. And it totally resonates with everything right now, completely.
Well, you know, we began the first video we ever did about our higher selves. So this is really stepping into our higher selves, or the higher aspects of our intelligence, and that consciousness can shine through with every word, action, and deed. That's what I think the real message here is. When we allow these higher aspects of us to shine through, we are creating in a quantum way. And as more and more people are able to stand into that and choose the way of love, no matter what the consequences of that are, we are creating for the divine.
Wow. Yes.
It's not
So
easy
perfect.
to do.
No, it's not. It's really not, especially if you're interacting with folks that are not of the same mindset, not on the same page. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it certainly does make it challenging.
Well, I've learned just to keep my mouth shut. I usually, like at work, don't say anything about what I can do. And if they do find out, they'll ask you if they're interested in it. But we have to realize that if we are in purity, that our energy is emanating that divine love without us opening our mouth about anything. So just by holding the energy of love in our hearts, our fields are strong and are much larger than a field that is not emanating with love. So we can't feel frustrated that they aren't in alignment with us, because just being in our, what's the word I'm looking, in our area, that's not the word I want, they're somehow being activated with our field is acting with their field.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you've picked up on that before too. I mean, you've had people, well, you said the babies seek you out all the time,
like,
because
I'm
they're
like
so
a baby
pure.
whisperer. Well, and we talked about this the other night at dinner, and everyone has different gifts, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that I can do is I can see orbs and I can see energies. Now, generally, I have to have my glasses on to be able to see it, but I can see little, it's almost like amoebas of snowflakes that are all around me, moving in different colors. Usually it's white or golden, sometimes pink or blue or indigo or green, just depending. I think it's really what my field needs. I call in my guides and angels, so I think they have access to my field if I need certain energies brought in to clarify me. So I can actually see that. So I told you that on the airplane, I started noticing blobs of color like out in front of me that I had never seen before. And this happened after COVID started. So I would see blobs of green and blue like way out in front of me on the airplane. So it's plasma that they put in my field, not every day, not all the time. It just depends. So if we start acknowledging that every human has a field that the energies are interacting with on a daily basis. Now I can see it, but they're around you and every other human on this planet. Once we open our hearts and realize how supported we are in these energies, is when we can start co-creating beyond our human selves and beyond an expectation that we ever thought was our purpose on this earth.
So perfect. So perfect. So how would you feel about doing a channeling today for us?
Well, I have another little message, but I'll read that and then we'll give it a try. I don't know, because I've been so tired. I haven't even channeled, not writing live, in probably over a month, because the energies have a big impact on me as well.
Yeah.
And being hydrated and plasmically reaching that energy with my plasma body, but we'll give it a try. But first I'll read this one. My child, take this moment of stillness to quiet. Listen to the sounds of the mother, to the heart of the creator. These energies are powerful igniters holding the keys to your progression. Your mastery is the ability to hold the peace in your own heart as you acknowledge and integrate the light. These energies sent for you are specific light codes and cosmos specifically for your attunements. As each soul has their own journey, each soul has the ability to process the integrations in unique ways depending on what they are here to achieve. We want to instill in you that there is no right or wrong. Everything is in perfect and divine order. What we ask of you is clarity of consciousness and purity of heart as we guide you home.
So beautiful.
So beautiful. I feel like crying. But we're all supported like that. I just have the gift of bringing these words to share with humans that need to feel supported and loved. I'm just the conduit for these words. I do not think of these things, and it's an honor to bring forth the words. When I read it, it's just like you hearing it from the first time. They're not my thoughts. They filtered through my heart. So let's see. We'll try to give the channeling a go. You always put this pressure on me.
No pressure, because you know what, I'm struggling just to stay in line during this interview. So much intense energy right now.
I can just feel like prickles of electrical energy all around me right this second. How about you?
I'm feeling super nauseous. And I'm like, okay, this has got to stop.
Okay, so think of what a high honor it is to feel super nauseous today.
Right.
Okay, so let's see. Heavenly Father, Father of the one heart, put your light of protection around me, surround me with the angels of light. All the angels of heaven speak through me. Use me for your instrument. Bring the peace of your creation to my soul. Allow my heart to convey the words of your love. Teach me, show me what we need to know today. Give me the words that hold the infinite value of your eternal creation. Bring peace, my child, to this moment and each moment as you learn to encompass each aspect of yourself in all aspects of creation, you will become whole. You are a holy being of light. This experience of this world is by no accident. Every moment of the inception of your creation has aligned at the exact moment to make you who you are. The energy of your signature is a perfect divine creation. When you, as human, learn to see that there is no right or wrong way of creating, you chose to be a physical embodiment of this light, of this wisdom, of this eternal soul, so that you could express as a divine creation in this timeline. Every other human on this planet has the same abilities as you. As we move in dimensions and see consciousness, we could acknowledge the divine in every aspect of creation, every flower, field. Human soul holds the codes of creation. As you walk, as you talk, as you align with your divine nature, as you see the divinity in the other, we open the gateway to the new world. We are at the threshold of a new creation. Do not lose hope. As in the chaos, we are creating perfection. It's the unearthing of the energies that allows for the awareness. As you become conscious creators, you will be divine. You will be the new humans that we speak of. It's an honor to bless you on this day and each day with our love. Walk in light, walk in love. Thank you.
That is so perfect. You know, it's such an important message. It's one that we've heard a bit, but for anybody new to this, no matter what you're doing, whether you're a janitor sweeping a floor or you smile at somebody at the grocery store or what have you, you are creating perfection in this world.
Exactly. That is probably like if anyone could get that lesson. I remember when I first got on this journey and I was very judgmental, like, why are they homeless? Or you should be creating this way, or I would never do anything that way. Once I started realizing if someone's holding the light and they're homeless, they're probably doing a better job than most other people. When you're in alignment and you feel that joy and you're holding the light, that's your purpose. It doesn't matter how you are living on this earth. That's why I really believe Indigenous people have a way expanded consciousness more than we do, living as these humans so disconnected from the earth. Right. And the guides assure, just like they did in that message, that no matter what, this chaos is going to take us exactly where we need to go. So all we can do is trust, and doubting is not doing anything to help us create beauty in this world. And that's what we want to do, is create beauty.
Yeah, and there is huge shifts come from chaos. So there is something massive going on given all the chaos in this planet right now.
Well, I don't know how much time. Okay, we're only at 1 hour now, so we can go a few minutes over. I've channeled a lot of messages that have explained, and I've read the Kabbalion is one of the first books that I ever read about alchemy, the 7 Hermetic principles. And to shift something, you have to go to the polarity. So we're seeing that in extremes right now. So all of this chaos is basically creating the energy almost like a tornado that's going to take us out of it. It's almost like you have to die before you can be born again. That same thing is happening in all of human consciousness, but also with the earth. And I see, just like I talked about earlier, when I'm not feeling good and I go and I lay down on the earth, and the earth is absorbing all of those energies. She's absorbing all the energies of the whole entire human race and all the energies of these experiences. So the guides show me that that leads to these earthquakes and volcanoes that are happening. It's almost like the earth has to release the energies that she's helping us heal. So the earth is going to be here way after we're gone. So we have to start thinking, what are we doing to help heal the earth? Or are we creating more experience and more toxicity that the earth is going to have to heal? The guides have showed me and taught me that when we were first conceived as humans, every cell and structure that we had as human was aligned with the cell and structure of the mother Gaia, every plant and field, right? So everything we ingested, all the water, was in perfect harmony with our organic natures. And as time progressed, it's really sacred geometry too. If you think about it, if we're ingesting only organic things that are matching the geometry of what we're ingesting, it's perfection, right? Like every cell and structure are fed. So then they showed me, which I think some may know, some may not, that we have 3 brains: the gut, the heart, and our real brain, our linear brain, which most people think that's our only brain. So as we ingest food, and it'll be something that totally changed how I ingest food, the food goes straight to the first brain, which is the gut. So everything that's meant for us and is organic and is aligned with our body matrix, we absorb in a good way. But everything that is not goes right up the vagal tone and into the brain. And that's why we have so much anxiety and diseases of the brain, because it's clearly the toxicity of what we're ingesting in our everyday environments that our gut does not take care of. So it's a huge thing. And I believe that the toxins in the brain then create the disconnect from the heart. So that's why people are feeling, totally disconnected from their souls. It starts with everything that you're ingesting through your mouth, through your senses, the lotions we put on our bodies, every type of clothing we wear, so many things. So when you start realizing that we are meant to be one with the earth, that's another way that you can help support the healing of this timeline.
And the biggie is that jab that's out there right now. I mean, that is so inorganic. I mean, no judgment for anyone that's taken it, but you have to wonder,
Well,
I mean,
again,
if you've taken it, it's your path. You've chosen that, right?
That's what I am 100% in alignment with, just like the homeless person, right? Like whatever you have chosen is exactly what your soul needed. Back in the beginning of COVID, I received a message, because I channel a lot of energy and science things, and the guides told me that this virus could be, you could increase your immune response by strengthening peptide LL37, which was the RNA receptor for your DNA. Now, you know me and I
have
am
no
not
idea what that is.
I not know one thing about science, but I've channeled a lot of science messages like the one I just shared with you about the gut and the vagal tone and the brain and all that. So they told me that if you were meant to get this virus, no matter what you did, no matter what hole you hid in, no matter if you never left your house, that you were going to get it, that there were certain humans that needed the intelligence of that virus integrated into their consciousness. So they told me that I would not get it. And so far, so good, because I'm a flight attendant and I've been out this entire time and I've never been sick. I trust that the guides are giving me experience that is in alignment with what I need. But that was a huge hurdle for me because I was afraid, because I had been home and then I stayed home for 3 months, about going out into the world. Was I going to get sick? And then this was the hugest revelation that I had when the guide said, Anne, you are human. You can never separate yourself from humanity. The best thing you can do as a human is to go out and get right in the middle of the COVID and everything else and have a full life experience. That is what you are here for. So after that, I operate like it doesn't even exist. Now I have to wear a mask for work all the time, which is very exhausting. I've never had a level of exhaustion that I have after wearing a mask on my face for 16 and sometimes 18 hours. I have to drink a lot of water. And for me, I would rather live in this moment. I mean, I've prayed for my own death, not because I'm not happy here, but just because I want to go back to where I came from and to the source of love. And the guides assure me that I am not going anytime soon. So I'm not worried about the death of this body quite yet. And if we could all overcome that fear, just think of how many beautiful experiences we could have if we were not afraid of living.
Oh, the fear is a biggie for so many people right now. So many people. And it hurts to see that.
It really does. And since I never got sick, right? I have a natural immunity, I'm assuming, to the virus. So probably next time we'll have a show, who knows? But why would I risk my own health taking an injection that the ingredients are not in alignment with my genetics or my DNA, and I don't feel comfortable with it? Now, I'm not judging anyone who has a reason. It's entirely up to you, but what I wish, and we can't control what other people think and say about us, but they would give us the same honor as we're giving them. I am not participating in that choice, but please don't judge me for not participating in the same choice you're participating in.
Right. It goes back to unity consciousness. I mean, and sovereignty. Both of them kind of go hand in hand. We're all one. We're all together in this. And we all are here incarnated as these human beings to stand in our sovereignty.
Exactly.
So if you want it, great. If I don't, great. Doesn't matter. We're still.
Doesn't matter. I love you. I hope you love me. And I really gotten many lessons and I'm a mother of 4 children, so I could be bossy and tell people what to do. But I'm really starting to see more and more experience where unless someone asks us for our opinion, or unless I ask you, I'm not interested in hearing it. So please keep it to yourself. That is really, I am the most aligned with that.
That's perfect. That's so perfect. Well, my dear, I so appreciate you being here today. This
Thanks
has
for
been
having me.
wonderful. All right. Well, you take care. And
too.
we're going to see Anne again before Christmas. So,
Okay, well, I'll try to channel some beautiful prayers for Christmas.
that sounds amazing.
Yeah,
And if
that would be
anybody
amazing.
wants a great gift for someone for Christmas, you can purchase monthly prayers from her too, which are great gifts.
Thank you, since you got one for your sister.
Yes.
I've really had 3 members of the initial circle have now bought multiple prayers for their family members for their birthdays.
I can see why.
You bought it for your sister, and that just brings me so much joy that you want to share the gift of the prayers.
Absolutely. Well, you have a great rest of the day, my dear.
You too.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye.